Okay, welcome back. This is Fritz Stamberger. I'm here with Johan, and we're going over the NASA document, the Future Strategic Issues, Future Warfare document, prepared for Dennis M. Bushnell, Chief Scientist, NASA Langley Research Center. And the last one, we had some major issues at the beginning of the video.
Well, let's just run right into, let's just say on this front page here and check out. So those words are future strategic issues, future warfare. So these are scenarios, but there's nothing real about this, right? Like this is all just potential, right? So with that in mind, we'll just
potential nature of further term warfare.
We'll make a bid and then chill.
Bots, Borgs, and humans, welcome you to 2025 AD. Now, I was going to skip right ahead to where we left off, but I'm gonna actually try and go through this again from one video. So this is prepared in 2001. This report, I just downloaded it off the internet, publicly available information, and report that was prepared. Now, I just want to just check all my feeds here, make sure my microphone's going, screen share and everything. And I'm going to also, I'm actually going to turn this, I've got the screen share off. I'm going to try and hop on and post the link. Actually, no, you know what? It's too hard for me to post the link on YouTube. Someone wants to private message me on Hang a link to get in the room. And that's going to be the only way in. Just PM me, Island Online News on your Google Hangouts, and I'll shoot the link. But anyway, let's see. Let's get this document broadcasting here. Here it is. The Bots, Borgs, and Humans welcome you to 2025 AD. And this presentation is prepared by your friends at DARPA, the CIA, FBI, National Research Council, you know, the SEALs, Navy SEALs, SOCOM. So this is some high-level studies and reports that have been boiled down into a form that can be handed up to the highest guy around. So it's meant to incite thought and discussion. That's what we're here for tonight.
Thought and discussion.
Thought and discussion. So we're going to think about this document and have some discussion about it. And it's based in all cases upon existing data, trends, analysis, and technologies. No pixie dust. So this is not imaginary stuff. It's all based on existing technologies and provides a broad perspective of developments and issues. Now I'm going to skip through a lot of this stuff and maybe just pause for a few seconds, and you can pause the video and try and skip through to some of the juicier stuff.
There we go. Get moving.
The world is in the throes of triple exponential IT, bio, nanotechnological revolutions, and we've all seen that over the last 15 years.
It's happened.
That's all happened. Spaceship Earth, the crew are plundering the ship.
Stay there for a minute. So let's just chill out with Spaceship Earth for a second. So just as a refresher, Fritz, we're talking about a report that was just recently released through a leak of NASA, as created by Mr. David Bushnell, who had to put together, I suppose, a symposium to present to his colleagues and to the people involved on a potential future war strategies of 2025, what's going to be happening in those days, right? Am I following that?
Yeah, potential future warfare scenarios based on the existing technologies and projections that they had from all those, reports compiled from all those agencies that were listed.
Right. So that which has just been released now was actually compiled in 2001. Is that right?
2001.
And so now it's become something that's released in an area of interest.
Right. So a lot of the stuff we've seen come to fruition over the last 15 years.
So that's really what we're looking for here, is just things that have come into fruition. So if this is done it's sort of like in a parody style with this Spaceship Earth, the crew are, it's like a game. So plundering the ship's supplies.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things is a lot of their wording is funny. They put a lot of stuff in quotation marks, and they
a lot of parentheses sort of thing.
Like actually, when you go through a lot of it's like they sound like kind of douchey. The whole thing, you know, like
Well, I mean, they're probably given a budget of $4 million they got to spend on like this thing. So you can only buy so many caviars and hookers for the after parties, and at the end of the day,
Right.
these poor buggers have probably got to
It's
make
got
it look good. They even so much as releasing a report. But
it's got to be readable to someone initiated in the Luciferian doctrine. I can appreciate.
Looks like they did something right. So they're like, I wonder if they got a lot of this. Like, let's keep going with the temperature life support. I know you don't feel like that at all, do you? Still looking for the instruction manual, which
oh yeah, that's interesting.
That's sort of an interesting thing. I mean, there's a few different, religious perspectives from there. People that have found the instruction manual from different corners of the earth and called it their own. Bible being one, sure, or the Quran, or people that have
not
decided
Quran.
to. But I mean, it is a book that was found that people think is their instruction manual. Nevertheless, engaging in bloody skirmishes in every corner of the vessel. I knew that it was a flat Earth. That just confirms it. Because every corner, otherwise, I mean, it's
there you go, people. NASA right there says the Earth is
every corner
flat
of the
square.
This guy was given clues here. Increasing the size of the crew by 2 million per week. So more people, more cattle. I don't know what they want more people for, but God bless that beautiful idea.
Yeah. Everyone makes it twice as fun. So
hey, let's spend some time.
I like more people.
One. Humans have taken over and vastly shortened evolution. So again, this is these are potentially scenarios for future wars scene of the future. 2025, as released by NASA, as compiled by a NASA henchman from 2001. So now Fritz and I are going to continue to take this apart piece by piece. Humans have taken over and vastly shortened evolution. What do you see in there, Fritz?
Well, I see they put evolution in quotations, showing that they know it's not real.
Evolution. Well, I mean, no, they're acknowledging that the word evolution is a multifaceted word as well. I mean,
sure, I know. I'm just joking around.
Potential, but takeover. Humans have taken over. Humans have taken over from who? I wonder what they're potentially suggesting.
Taking over maybe against the robotic forces. I don't know.
Evolution of the planet. So there's been global warming, pollution, deforestation, huge public works dams projects of the human species. Well, that's us, right?
Yeah. So basically, it looks like they're calling humans hostile in this future war scenario.
I see. Okay, so it's sort of so far it's been entirely these third-person people against the humans. It's like the humans are fighting back against us. The potential is there for nanotechnology research. So that's today, or is this 2025?
That would probably be
or pardon me, or 2001.
It seems it was like current information mixed with like future projections.
This is a good.
So this is like this is what they think of humankind here, moving towards the IT age, information technology. That's us. And after that, the bio nano, and then finally they want to create a virtual reality where they can live forever apart from God's judgment.
In a brain jar of some sort, right? That's where it's going.
Right. And the Bible does speak to that a bit, where it says they should long for death but wouldn't be able to find it. So
in Revelations, where they were stung by the I feel like that
was by the locusts and stuff.
The locusts, that seems more like a radioactive attack, but all that aside. Okay, where are we going?
So let's see here.
Hunter-gatherers.
Virtual robotization of all these things. So they foresee a lot of automating things with bio, nano, robots. It seems to be
where the main sort of future technologies, all highly synergetics at the frontier of the small in a feeding frenzy of each other. Oh, in a feeding frenzy.
Now this is interesting here.
I don't like that parenthesis. People on a feeding frenzy with themselves. A feeding frenzy.
This here, where they say that the quantum nano computing has no end in sight, that's not necessarily true, because actually,
is it cap?
like how they are multiplying the technology and the transistors and stuff. It's at a, like, when you keep going smaller and smaller, it becomes really, really expensive. Like, for instance, Apple probably spends like hundreds of billions of dollars or whatever trying to double the amount on the transistors now because they're so small.
But is it sort of like one of those short-term, long-term things where it's getting smaller and smaller, but in the end, you need that much less plastic and technology to build and produce?
Well, all I'm saying is that you really can only get so small. You can only get
wonders about that, don't they?
Well,
so they have something called the pixie dust.
Yeah.
Pixie dust.
So look at this. They expect virtual reality, holographic, immersive, ubiquitous, hyperspectral sensors and virtual presence. That sounds like satanic panopticon of all knowing, all seeing.
Yeah, it's got CCTV.
Hyperspectral sensors. I wonder what they're worried about in the other spectrums.
Hyperspectral sensors. So that's picking up not just what the camera picks up, but something beyond that. Like I smell fear.
This is interesting.
Hyperspectral sensor.
Automatic robotic everything.
Robotic. Well, let's just cut it short to everything.
Yeah. Why shoot for the moon?
Automatic robotic.
So let's see. So they expect lifespan doubling, of course. And
genetic
engineering before birth. That's interesting. I've never actually heard that.
Before birth. Oh, I have. I think that's regarding like people want to have blue-eyed, blonde-haired children. People want to have more boys or.
I was thinking more probably.
Even that is a form of genetic manipulation. I mean, the idea that they can go and they can make sure that your kid doesn't have Down syndrome or whatever it is.
I guess so. Okay.
But this is only 10 years off in their projection. We're at 2015. We're 15 years in the future of when this was scripted. So,
look at it. They were expecting immersive, multi-sensory, virtual reality holodecks.
Okay, man. I saw Tupac at the what do you call it?
Oh yeah.
At the NFL.
It was like a holodeck.
He was on a holodeck. Yeah, they beamed him down, Cuba, whatever.
Everything.
Everything. They've got.
I forgot teleportation.
Telepolitics. That sounds dangerous. Tele-entertainment, check. They do that. Tele-shopping, we do that now. Telecommuting, we don't telecommute. That could go into teleportation and telecommuting. Teletravel, telemedicine, telecommerce. We do telecommerce for
Definitely
sure.
Telesocialization.
Holy kerpolis.
They planned the Facebook right here. It's telesocialization. Facebook. Okay. So you can pause these if you want to read some of these. I want to get to some juicier stuff here.
Predictions. Okay. So this is a prediction. So this is 2001.
This is a failed prediction right here.
Let's see. Quantum computing initially available.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it probably is available to them. It's probably just not commercially available. So, but definitely this one, wearable implantable electronics, is definitely.
Boom! We're on there, man.
We're there.
My cell phone's in my pocket right now. Wearable.
Google Glasses. There's a bracelet that was like popular this year. There's like an internet bracelet.
Some predictions. So we're discussing the some predictions of this 2001 report. So the idea of a wearable implantable on-person electronics, I have to say in 2001, I didn't really see it coming. I thought it would take a lot more than it did to get me to be wearing
Dick Tracy watch or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. 2007, I was wearing personal electronic communication, computing, sensory augmentation, health monitoring, brain stimulating.
Brain stimulating.
It's totally brain stimulating, man. Big time.
Okay, look at this. Here's interesting. AI and beyond. Okay, so this is where they talk about what they project artificial intelligence versus the human intelligence. This is interesting stuff.
It is interesting. Yeah.
So they go through the human brain characteristics. Okay, 100 billion neurons, 100 trillion connections, 200 calculations a second. That's slow according to them. Speed of neural circuitry, 20 million billion calculations a second. 20 million billion calculations a second in the human brain.
We call that infinite where I come from.
Excellent at parallel computing, pattern recognition, and poor at sequential thinking. Sorry, poor at sequential thinking. Oh, operates via random try. So according to NASA, your human brain operates via random tries. That's how smart they think you are. Random tries. Now that I don't think that's true at all, because my brain operates according to pre-planned, future foreseeing abilities, where I can look tomorrow and say, okay, I'm gonna drive to work at this time, and then I'm gonna do my job for so many hours and drive So I plan
Well,
it
that's
all
really
out
just
in my mind ahead of
suggestiatory.
time. That's not random. There's nothing random to that.
Well, I mean, don't let the word scary. It's suggestiatory. That's all.
Well, I just don't like them down talking
Where we
the
going?
human
We got some more
brain.
pages to go here.
Okay, anyway, so the machine capabilities in 2001, they could do 10 billion calculations a second. You know, this is what they projected was 20 million billion available by 2025. So that's where they're
on a personal
we can
computer
already do that, 20 million billion. They projected they would be able to do that
by 2010.
by 2010.
PC has collective computing power of a town full of human minds. So they're hoping my home computer is going to be able to outthink a human. 30 human minds.
That's just nonsense. The U.S. Human Brain Project. Now, this is actually initiated by Barack Obama.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it begun in the early 90s.
No one would have known about it. Or what,
16 origination neuroinformatics. Well, there's a word you don't get to say every day. Intersections of neuroscience and informatics. Exploding field. 10,000 individual presentation at an annual meeting of Society for Neuroscience. Determining details, neuroanatomy of human brain.
Okay. The imagination engine. Creativity machine, creative agent. So this is where they get to talking about the AI becoming self-aware and creative and being able to learn and stuff like that.
Right.
That's all good there. That's presenting. What are you trying
to do? Somebody sent you a message.
Oh, they sent a private message to try and come in.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to come into the presentation, just send me a private link and I'll send you the link because I just can't. The signal's slow and we've already been cut off once and it's choppy, so it's going to be hard to get anybody else in here. But we're going to just keep going through the document. Just private message me and I'll give you the link and you can come in. So current AI. We talk about.
It's mostly quite dry and theoretical. I mean, they probably handed this to like a 12th grader and we're like, here you go.
Neural nets.
Here's a report to write. $4 million later.
Okay, moving on.
Megalomania and territorial disputes. That caught me right away. That's rad. I think that's like the Mexican mafia right now, isn't it?
Okay, so serious problems according to NASA: energy, water, food, land, population growth, wealth generation, pollution, warming.
Killer
solutions. And then some solutions. Okay, it seems to be a real jumble of reports because you saw how many agencies were involved. So it's like just like useful information for them to make decisions at higher levels. So political military outlooks worldwide changes everything. IE changes everything. Information explosion. Information.
I don't know where you're going with that.
I don't know. Something they expect. Something changes everything. So
something changes everything.
Motivational learner, web-based, asynchronous distance learning. Down. Okay, you can just pause these if you want to read some of these boring ones. They expected the colleges and universities to be web-based.
Okay, let's stop there. 2025, 40% of private and 15% of public colleges and universities are expected to close due to web-based competition. So that I don't know if they've closed, but they're not starting up new colleges. You know, like all the new colleges or Sprott Shaw community colleges or whatever there that pop up in whatever regional district you're in. They seem to be dominating, right? Like people are able to get their license to hand out these crackerjack diplomas. And although it's always been like right now, for instance, I know in many of the universities, you can get free classes online through the university. I mean, anybody can do that. I mean, whether it's going to be administrable as a class credit or towards a degree of any ticket doesn't apply. But so they're kind of right about that. Internet did take over a lot of that.
So what do they expect here? Oh, this is interesting. The ultimate education approach: plug and play, direct silicone or other such device connection to brain, very rapid uploads, education in minutes instead of many years. This is the Matrix Neo.
Yeah, they were really.
I know Kung Fu.
It's 15 years out or 14 years since this came out, and I can tell you 10 years in the future, I just don't see it.
But here's the thing: they're working on this, right? Direct silicone connection to the brain for rapid uploads.
Yeah.
They think
education
they're
in minutes
Neo.
instead of many years. So that was really, I mean, this is again the grade 12 student adding his input. Right? Advantage of shallow sea desert, product of biomass.
Terraforming, we've seen that with chemtrails and
Yep, terraforming stuff happening. Rich mineral sources, seawater, interesting. Probable circa 2012 societal changes. Oh, okay. They didn't see Facebook, I bet. They saw that coming.
Increased life. I wonder if they are already operating with increased lifespans at higher levels.
Well, that's the interesting with increased lifespan is despite the many added things you can do to your body to increase your lifespan, the number one killer is accidents. I mean, it's the debate of you can spend millions of dollars getting yourself rebuilt, and then you walk onto the street and get hit by a car. So at 40, planning to live 140.
Right. Shows here they're
eventually a shark is going to get you.
They're concerned about increased individual destructive power. So they're concerned about individuals.
Maybe they're worried about our
obtaining large amounts of destructive power. So
that's something where we can self-implode. We can take out a city block. It's a scary thought. Being able to activate that button, like the idea of a suicide bomber being able to go, I can do my self-imploding thing. Like there's the stories of self-combustion, of course. You've heard of this, where a person is blown up in their apartment for no. I mean, this is research. Check it out. It's kind of humorous.
Spontaneous combustion.
Yeah, the subject is spontaneous combustion. I mean, it indeed is a recorded now worldwide phenomenon. Why, what, where, and how?
I think that's what they're talking about.
No, I like what they're going with that. I mean, let's really hope the suicide bombers don't figure this out.
So, right, law enforcement issues, privacy, okay.
Pictures, micro nano sensors, we got those everywhere.
Okay. Societal disaffection caused by rapid technological changes.
We got a hint at Facebook there, maybe.
Air rage.
Road rage. They thought we were going to be flying around in cars by 2015, probably.
No,
air rage became a problem.
Air rage was a thing on jets and stuff in the 70s and 80s. And the flight attendant was saying, because
more recently, of course, the apparent German chap that went on a rampage and slammed the plane into the Alps there. Locking himself in the cockpit, which was the argument now is that all of those security measures were put in place to protect the pilot, but in the end it was the co-pilot that kicked everybody out of the cockpit, and nobody was able to actually access the double paneled metal door that was only at that point controlled by the co-pilot who slammed the plane right into the side of the Alps in Switzerland.
Well, what size was that plane? Do you remember?
It was like a real, intercontinental flight type thing, going to Spain or something.
Was it an Airbus?
Yeah, Airbus style.
Was it? Because the Airbuses have a actually really sensitive radio control mechanism to fly. Like the Airbuses can be controlled remotely.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, there's a subject of its own, but air rage. I don't know. I like the idea of us flying around in our little, our sky runners.
Okay, so anyway, there's some statistics there.
Got to be looking from 2001 to now what we have projected and have laughed at then that we can laugh at now.
This is interesting. Farm animals,
for pharmaceutical,
for drugs and spare parts.
That they've obviously been doing that obviously with growing human stem cell research in animals, and of course they don't use what evolution would suggest it to be our closest cousins, which would be the apes or chimpanzees. But they grow them, of course, in pigs, right? Pigs are our closest genetic relative on the animal.
Well, I don't think they're genetically related at all.
Well, genetically, as in they're most compatible when they need to grow an organ. Yeah, when they're trying to grow an organ in a
which of course God designed them as because He knew we were going to eat them.
Yeah. Well, we are going to eat them. Yeah.
Anyway, we've seen this actually. Spider genes in goats. They make bulletproof vests with that stuff. The goats make spider silk, genetically modified goats, and they make bulletproof vests out of them for the military.
3.5 double strength of armored fibers for armor.
Binary is a two-part weapon where they release one part of it, say like chemtrails, to suppress the immune system, and then the second part of it would be like when they release some plague or pandemic. Right. That's what they call binary bioweapon.
Okay, that makes sense.
So and the chemtrails are stage 1 of a binary bioweapon. There's general immune system.
Yeah.
Geoengineering. So anyway,
a little humorous, really, from 2001. The brain of a sea lamprey inserted connected to the body of a robotic fish, an initial cyborg. So I guess, if you were coming from a perspective where the primitive sludge that was around the ocean in the first place, then maybe you want to start with a robotic fish. Tissue of flesh, plant-eating robot that hunt natural.
That sounds scary. I don't want to
Carry
meet
on there,
Chewbacca.
Yeah. I mean, this grade 12 imagination, this stuff. A lot of it really is. So keep going down there. Let's get through a bunch of these pages. Carbon nanotubes.
Ultra capacitor.
That's
high temperatures. Ultra capacitors are interesting energy.
Revolutionary power generation, storage opportunities. Okay, so this was what they were going on. Generation of power.
What kind of power would they be expecting? Ultra capacitors. That is a good
top of the one,
energy storage.
Advanced fuel cells.
Lots of lithium stuff.
Room temperature. Yes, I don't know what that's supposed to be. I don't see a few really classic ones that when I think of generation of power sources, I think of water and
solar and wind power.
Of course, you think
hydroelectric. No, we're gonna use the black light.
Black light power. Question mark.
The power everything.
Yeah. We want the world in black light. Offshore methane hydrate. Okay. Freeform fabrications, powder wire, metallurgy using robotic magnetically steered electrons beam to create acritine local melts.
That sounds scary, man.
I think that they were just
powder.
Well, I mean, it's sort of. I'm seeing something of grow instead of cut. No fasteners, no strong backs for fasteners. Nearly infinite fatigue life.
Excellent metallurgy. They're skilled in all kinds of
robotic magnates. And they're already talking about, some organic robot. So I mean, the idea that something can grow. Aluminum vortex combustion. Boy, this stuff is now.
Look at this.
This is grade 10. Micropowdered aluminum.
You ever heard of micropowdered aluminum fed into a vortex combustor?
No, sir.
Let's talking about geoengineering.
Is that right? Micropowdered aluminum fed into a vortex combustor burns seawater, provides AIP. AIP again, an acronyms you're going to need to know the.
This would explain why you get the plumes on the coastlines where there's a lot of seawater.
So that's talking about transoceanic ultraviolets. I don't know what the UUVS of that.
Unmanned underwater vehicles.
Oh, transoceanic unmanned underwater vehicles. Okay. Would allow enemy after next. Whoa.
Undersea drones. You thought there was just drones in the sky, but no, they're under the ocean.
Transoceanic sea drones.
You'd be kayaking in this big drone. I'll just
I really like
come
this.
up under your kayak.
What this must mean here, enemy after next. That was in the opening statement there with
well, after the terrorist threat, it's going to be either aliens or just the human population in general.
It really at first suggests during next. It would be current terrorism 2001. So after would be the next one. Adam, you put it down there. So the enemy next. So have we received the next enemy? It's 2015, and then we have to wait for the one after that, the 2021.
So let's take it as probably just like it just means a future enemy or whatever.
Future enemy.
Inevitable enemy kind of thing. I don't know.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. And let's do some of these pages. Smart dust.
Smart card sensors.
Smart dust. You were just talking about smart dust.
Smart dust. That's interesting. They'll probably go on more about that later. That's interesting stuff. Here they go. Some sensors. Swarm. Smart dust.
Cubic millimeters or less.
Combined sensors, comms, power supply, floats and air currents.
Floats and air currents.
Again, geoengineering chemtrails.
Yeah, clearly a visual of smart dust, which, comes to mind with the smartphone, which
this is what dark and books and all these smart dust, 3D you know, and basically just having the information of what's going on everywhere, absolutely everywhere. They're not getting around. Nanotags placed on everything, everywhere. This is what NASA. This is what NASA imagines for the future.
Well, I mean, prediction.
Enclopted insects. That's interesting. We've seen actually the roach and let go with that.
No,
it's pretty
I
sick.
have not seen
it's
that,
pretty sick.
That's pretty impressive. So they're controlling the chemical reaction.
Here's a clever pun there, NASA. Appears we are still live. That's interesting. My camera just flicked on and the broadcast stopped. I wasn't touching any buttons, and yeah, that was weird. I just saw the camera light come on and the broadcast stopped. So I'm just going to go ahead and just open that back up and make sure that's presenting to everyone. Okay, and let's keep going through the document. Go through this one around. So NASA projects microdust.
A whole new class of weaponry, which is
dust. Listen to this again. Distributed as an aerosol, inhaled into the lungs, dust mechanically bores into the lung tissue and executes various pathological missions. Now that is one of the scarier slides, I think, in this report.
That would have been neat to have been at the presentation.
Microdust weaponry.
And the senior general said, "Sir, to your knowledge, no doubt we have already implemented this program. We call it under the classification of geostratospherical geoengineering." You can imagine this general then asking, "How can we use this as a weapon, sir?" And thus the implementation of a mechanical analog to biomicron-sized mechanized dust, sir, which is distributed as an aerosol and inhaled to the lungs. Dust mechanically then can bore into the lung tissue and execute various pathological missions. So what do you think some of the missions they could pathologically implement?
And then apparently they think this kind of weaponry is legal because they're just, putting out sensors into the air for weather experiments, and they're just trying to block the sun because of global warming. And so this is all, this is all above board, as they say, to spray aerosol, dust.
Well, this is again all
will be
a theoretical future from 2001.
Right, but I know we're dealing with here. It's actually quite frightening, some of the stuff they come up with in their reports.
So this is stuff agreed upon, assumptions combat in 2025. So these are after all of that. Camo spoofing, microsensors, chem munitions,
robotics,
biochem munitions, logistics assets, highly vulnerable. Well, if you're just joining us,
beam weapons increasingly prevalent.
It's my name's Johann Stamberger. I'm here with my brother Fritz, and we're just going through a file recently released from 2001 from NASA, from Mr. Bushnell, who was a guy who scripted this and I guess made it as a presentation to NASA. If you're looking for links to that source and where to get that again, that's going to be coming up. I know Fritz is just organizing that. And we're just sort of going through and seeing what the projections were for 2025 in this document, which was a presentation of future war scenarios and warfare technology to a rather prestigious audience at the time. When you say, Fritz, I mean, they had everybody from, the FBI to the Navy SEAL standing military organization with a vested interest in the future of mankind. From a negative note,
there's the
destruction of
mankind,
the Australian Department of Defense, and Yeah.
You could go through some of these on online and find out who they are, but there's some obvious ones in there.
With that in mind, we're just kind of going through all of the different things that were presented that report, which is actually just shy of 100 and some pages. But as we go through, we're just looking at different things that were projected to be potential weapons, potential war, I guess, scenarios for NASA. And this was presented to these big league dudes who are going to obviously weigh in with their input on that at the time. So now we get to look at this from 2015, flash forward 14 years ahead, and we get to be now able to go through this and laugh at some of it, or at least pray against some of it, and a lot of it going to be not too surprised that they used a lot of the stuff suggested here, like the idea of the aerosol spraying into the air, which is a subject that I know Island Online News has covered in depth for the last several years on islandonlinenews.com.
But I want to get back to this slide here. This is one of the ones I found particularly interesting because I had just uploaded a video of William Thomas called the I don't know, it was like the unseen hazards of wireless technology or something like that. And he talked about this brain blood flow, how the low power microwave radiation disrupts this brain blood flow in people. Look at this with NASA says 30 to 100% increase in brain blood flow and lethality from low power microwave radiation, which is cell phones, iPads, Wi-Fi.
Look at that. So this is 2001 interactions between low power machinery. So yeah, look at that. So 4 to 3 gigahertz. Now most of these common iPhones are a lot more than that, aren't they? They're more like, I know that
4 or 5
gigahertz, or even 7.
7 gigahertz.
iPhone 6s are compounded. So that there, I mean, and I like that when you hear about these gigahertz, when people imagine the old, the pre-gig phone and the support and egg and stuff like that. Those were actually real. I mean, they had to do a few tricks on. They had to make sure that all the phones were at that capacitor level. But the interesting thing is that most people don't realize what a gigahertz really means. A gig, I challenge you. What's a giga worth? I mean, it's a billion. A giga isn't 1,000. A giga is a billion. So those are a billion, hertz of electromagnetic radiation. I mean, that's impressive.
Right, and it's vibrating your cells back 7 billion times a second. Like, you can't even imagine how fast. That's why it disrupts there's a barrier in there. It would be good if we got Neff in here because he knows about this stuff. There's a blood barrier on the cells it's not supposed to be disrupted, but that disrupts it and allows the blood to pass through. But I was trying to get the link going over here.
Okay.
But I'll go to the next slide here first. Go back to the presentation. So,
by archipelagos. That's quite a.
This is like fingerprintless ways of like causing destruction where you can't detect it. They sure do want to make a lot of weapons. Here's them talking more about stuff being easily transmitted from aerosols.
Weaponized. Frontiers of rapidly growing genomic, nice bio of the battlefields. Carrying on down the line there.
What is apparently legal? Okay, so here's some of the forms of weaponry that NASA considers legal: microwave, radio frequency, anti-functional, anti-personnel weaponry. Okay, certainly seen that deployed. Chemical weaponry, acoustic weaponry, mechanical microdust. I don't know how they think mechanical microdust that people breathe into their lungs and it burrows into the lung tissue and delivers pathogens. I don't know how they say that's legal. That's just crazy talk, NASA.
Mechanical microdust, that does sound dangerous, doesn't it? Future non-nuclear explosives for volumetric weapons of mass effect. Fuel, air dust, back to that. So they're interesting. They're talking about the fuel and the air dust explosions again, which was as suggested before. But there are many weapons based on aerosol release, I remember
A lot of it
when I
is.
came back from Mexico and they were driving through the town in Sayulita, spraying this unknown spray throughout the whole town. They told me they were fumigating the whole town. I remember the time looking at this dust and this cake, and I thought, yeah, they are. They're fumigating this whole town. That's quite impressive. You know, like, and they were just guys driving down in these trucks with these huge aerosol cans, just blasting this, what looked like this powdered smoke over the entire city.
Hmm.
There hasn't been a boy.
Here they're talking about a global precision strike weapon that can be operated on the cheap.
Last week.
And it, let's see, what does it do? $200 a pound of projectile, excellent stealth, makes no plume. And did Aberdeen, NASA, and this?
So this is built.
Blast wave accelerator. Global precision strike on the cheap. Now that is, I've never heard of that weapon.
No, those are no, but we've heard of precision strikes before. They
Yeah,
do that with their
with the blast wave
from high in the atmosphere, right?
That's interesting. Oh, and then they go on to show
how to build your own.
How to build your own in your DIY
gyrating on
blast wave accelerator. There it is. If you want to build one.
Oh dear.
Looks like Circa.
It's got everything right. It's ready to roll. Backyard version. And here's
the the slingatron. They're gonna sling.
Did I hear that?
Sling that shit.
That's the slingatron. What do we call it, sir? Again, to the grade 12 student who's doing the research. Right?
It's the poor man's global precision. Look at this. Yeah, these guys talk.
Wow.
Poor man's global precision.
Device is that the slingatron.
The slingatron.
So these names never really took. I mean,
sounds like Marvel character.
I haven't heard much of the slingatron. Like it didn't really pick up.
I'm slingatron. I'll sling you across.
I think we're just gonna rename that to like laser something. Yeah. The slingatron.
It's just a gyrating spiral guide tube.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think I went on this thing at the carnival. I think that's or was it indeed the Gravatron? No, it's the Slingatron.
Okay. Ubiquitous commercial overhead systems. Okay, so this document is 113 pages. We're just up in the 60s now, so we're just over halfway through the document. I'm going to go through the entire thing just so that you could just pause any part of it and have a look. That looks a little bit too extensive to get into there. Just going to skip through some of this and try and find some more juicy bits. Binary weapons. Well, this is interesting, a slide here where they're talking about human being increasingly critical human limitations, downsides. Humans are large, heavy, and tender.
These are major setbacks that we do have.
These are major limitations. We're just too tender and squishy and lovable. We're slow physically and mentally, and we require huge logistic trains, and humans have a rapidly decreasing to negative value added. So you're rapidly becoming less than worthless. In fact, you're actually becoming a detriment.
Negative value added, right? But it's kind of true. I mean, my organic grandfathers probably were a lot more healthier of a human than what we have to breathe and eat today. So I mean, you're taking away from the value.
Well, I think you're talking about the actual humans though that have no value to them. They're too tender and large and heavy.
They're talking about increasingly critical human limitations. Damn, this keeps getting them down. They're large, the heavy, the tender. What do we? And that's like alien gray talk right there. They're too large, sir. They're too heavy, sir.
You're less than worthless.
You're slow physically and mentally. Who wrote this?
Who wrote this slide? Who was that? DARPA?
This is alien gray talk.
We know that's you.
Robotics in the large.
Okay, so they're just talking about some uses for robotics. So a lot of unmanned stuff, unmanned aerial vehicles, unmanned underwater vehicles, unmanned ground vehicles. So they want to have everything roboticized, like Terminator 2 style.
Okay, robotics in the large. So let's carry on down the line. You know, they haven't once mentioned farming with these robotics yet. I mean, that could have been...
The robotics are improving.
Robotic
they
intelligence.
have two flavors of AI. So there's traditional AI, rule-based artificial intelligence, and then there's what they really would like is experiential, behavior-based neural nets and soft computing. This is going to be a cybernetic thing. This is going to be like a human with half their brain removed and an iPhone soldered in.
iPhone soldered in, which will become an option, I'm sure. Enough of this losing my phone nonsense. Combination of those in current best bet to produce artificial cyber life, which will probably be... Oh, I like that. Look at that. Which will, I mean, not to be an English teacher, but which will possibly to probably be sentient, but will not be anthropomorphic. Well, that's a possibly to probably condition, yeah. That's something else.
That's like what I said. They do create this scary AI stuff. It's not going to look like humans. It's going to be probably like balls or spheres of AI of every size. That would be make the most sense, right? If it's gonna mimic God's creation, this AI, and it starts creating itself, it's gonna eventually create itself to be tiny balls, basically.
What are we looking at there? The evolution of computer power,
brain power chart there.
What is beyond?
And okay, so we're on page 70. This is 113 pages long, so we're almost through here. And
113 pages again. If you just new viewers there, this is a document that was just recently released. That was actually on one. It was a presentation made on the future strategic issue, future warfare, circa 2025, as scripted by Dennis Bushnell there, who he's actually, as we were just researching before the show, that he's
chief scientist at Langley.
He's quite a ways up there now. I think that he's found new roles as well there. It come 2015, which where we are now, 14 years after this was released. So this is almost, I mean, in some ways, comedic and tragic reading here as we go through the different projections of the future of warfare and potential scenarios.
Some of it was they were shooting a little high. Some of it has come to pass.
Right.
A lot of it has a dark undertone. There's a lot of stuff about aerosol methods of. They seem to want to do everything with aerosols.
Dispersing smart dust
and ubiquitous sensors and ubiquitous
through some sort of aerosol technique. If only they could come up with a system, to spray the masses. So as we get down the line here, we're on.
So Psywar in the large. This means heavy internet presence, heavy television presence. Psychological warfare,
natural warfare. Well, that's
so they wanted to, something I'm seeing in this document is that they want to put sensors on absolutely everything. They want to spray the earth with smart dust sensors.
Right. Shut down.
That's basically what they said, which I would argue they've already done it.
Well, I think they've done it. As it was saying earlier,
chemtrail program, geoengineering program.
I think their exact words were for pathological missions. I mean, that's an interesting way to put it in 2001, that they could suggest that smart dust for pathological missions that could be carried out, especially.
And a binary weapon was their words, which I would say that because the aluminum and stuff in the aerosol geoengineering is an immune suppressant. Aluminum, I'm not certain, but I think it's the most toxic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I know aluminum is one of the solar and the glass aluminum, right? Which is also very common in a lot of these different sciences. And I know universities around the world, not just from North America, but from other NATO-based countries where they do spray, which of course is a NATO phenomenon, that they're finding it's glass-coated aluminum, which is single-handedly, from a first-hand account from a doctor friend of mine who runs on both traditional Chinese medicine and as well as Western medicine, that the worst possible things we can breathe into our pulmonary system is glass-coated aluminum. One ups aluminum, right? So that put into our system, and then how that becomes cancer, not itself causing cancer, but can help to activate cancer cells in the body to respond.
Sure.
So with the polarities. So here we are now in 2015, reading through this 2001 report. Rather interesting.
Look at this. They want to use insects as delivery systems, munitions, feeding, swarming, biting, poisoning. So utilizing animals as delivery systems. Well, I've seen them. They've been doing stuff with that, like mosquitoes and stuff like that, putting viruses in them and releasing them in certain areas of third world countries and stuff. Oh, this is interesting. Utilizing explosive destructive in offshore methane hydrate dams. Offshore, if they explode offshore methane hydrate dams, they're going to cause tsunamis. Are there any tsunamis in the last 15 years?
Yeah, there sure has. There's been 2004, of course.
Right.
In Indian Ocean there.
Okay, so.
All right, let's keep heading down. Let's get through a few of these.
Here they are again with their ubiquitous sensors, bioweapons. Seems like they want to like implant bioweapons everywhere. I
think I'm okay with those bioweapons.
This is an interesting one. Sensitivity to casualties is greatly enhanced by the CNN syndrome.
CNN syndrome. I like where that's going.
Sensitivity to casualties is enhanced by the CNN syndrome.
Sensitivity. Okay, so that's the chopping off people's heads on, television warning the next few years. Now I'm just going to warn you now that the next few are going to have a bit graphic. So cover your child's nearby and stuff. Actually, so the CNN syndrome is like sensitivity to casualties obviously translates that, right? Vulnerability to terrorism, espionage, potential unrealistic vulnerabilities. Blast wave accelerator is back.
There they are with all the unmanned vehicles everywhere.
Yeah.
Blast wave accelerator, that's a global strike thing that they can do on the cheap.
Wow, the ballistic missiles, bombs. So fundamental problems with future U.S. power projections. So this is 2001. U.S. force runs out of bullets and dies. Beams weapons not. That's ridiculous. I don't think we'd ever run out of bullets. Not in my America. EN can have country-sized magazines filled with hordes of inaccessible precision strike munitions. Sampling missiles, cruise missiles. Weapons.
Getting some interesting sound coming through the microphone. You hear that?
I hear the microphone now.
Getting some strange sound coming through the microphone as if someone else is in the hangout, but that's weird.
I'm hearing the drop of the rain there on the roof.
I think we've got someone listening in from these agencies. Maybe if they want to just chime in and just clear any of this up for us and want to explain some of this stuff, just pipe up. We're just going to keep looking through the document, though, and
interesting there.
Have a look through this and discussion like it wanted.
Hey, Island, I muted myself. I don't know who's talking on the other end, but
how did you get in?
I followed your link.
Oh, okay, good. I didn't realize I had gotten a link out. I was trying so many times and everything was freezing and crashing. And cool. So there's a link out there somewhere. Right on.
There it is.
Yeah, it's Google for you. I went on Hangouts and I looked through my Hangouts, and I used to have you underneath a category of mine. Sure, I kind of didn't know what to do with you. I didn't know what category to put you in. So I got a label and category everybody.
Sasquatch researcher.
Yeah, I can't put you in a general category or else I don't know.
So did you?
I agree with a lot of your research and a lot of your work. It makes a lot of sense.
Have you been watching this document as we go through here a little bit?
I've been watching a little bit here and there, yeah. And then I used to watch some of your older stuff that had to do a lot with the we're talking about like apocalyptic stuff?
Well, right tonight we're going through this NASA document, and basically I'm just going through it. It's a future strategic issues, future warfare document from NASA, prepared by and
which Fritz
given
does
by
cover that
Dennis
subject,
Bush
so
now.
definitely covers the subject of an apocalyptic future.
But yeah, we're just
That's how I
going.
perceive it, I guess.
Yeah, we're sort of just going through this document and showing what all these studies that these letter agencies, DARPA and the FBI and CIA and all these guys did.
Oh yeah,
Study and
DARPA.
going through it.
That's what I try to explain to everybody who uses the internet. Anybody that comes to me and they're like, "Oh, well, these people said this or that on Facebook," and I'm like, "Well, do you realize what the original purpose of the internet was? It was called DARPANet.
Wicked military force.
Yeah. Yeah.
It had nothing. I'm sorry, I'm a computer science major, but it had nothing to do with you wanting to talk to your friends. You know what the purpose of the internet was? To collect information.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Start to network the information. Yeah. So, but anyway, they stated in this document that they prepared it for to incite thought and discussion. So we're just discussing this document. We're about on page 81.
Crap, we made it that far.
And it goes to, I think, page 113. So it's not too much more.
81.
And we'll just keep going through this document and looking at some of the slides here. So feel free to join in if you have any thoughts or comments. So a lot of it I'm just actually sort of skimming over, and people can
Wait, go back to the UAV thing. Yeah, transcontinental UAVs. Yeah.
Nano and artificially intelligent transcontinental unmanned aerial vehicles and underwater vehicles.
Balloons with GPS sport shoots. I like the sound of that. Yeah, and just micro rockets.
Now, if I'm correct, transcontinental UAVs could be anything. We're talking an airliner, anything.
Sure. Yeah.
That was, so this is the projection from a 2001 report, not released back then, only released recently, of this panel discussion on the subject of future of warfare. And what, so this is the 113-page report, now released to us 14 years later, so we're able to actually look at this and in some way laugh, and in other ways shudder.
It looks like this, to me, looks like they're predicting an attack on the banking systems, and like they're expecting interruptions, national and international payment systems irrecoverable. So this crash, looks like a major financial system crash is what they're talking about right here.
Well, you know, as a security advisor and somebody who is in counter hacking, that's their purpose, is to build stronger and stronger software. But the problem is there is never going to be any software that is impenetrable. They know that. And that's why they pay companies like the company that a couple of my friends work for, that they keep paying them to keep breaking into their software.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So they want to make sure that they've got the best software that they can get before this thing that you're talking about is going to happen. You see, why wouldn't they, you know, they're paying these companies to make sure that they can find unbreakable software.
Indeed.
Interesting. Okay.
And by they, I mean the banking companies.
Right. So just, and then there is nano.
So they dive into a nano future here, Fritz.
The prodigal
warfare on the cheap.
Future son.
Warfare on the cheap. On the cheap. So are they actually saying that in like a like an English chap sort of way of speaking? Yeah. Like, how could we do future warfare on the cheap, old boy? Well, like, I don't know how
long leg precision.
The way writing it is interesting.
Yeah, the parentheses of on the cheap. You know, what's the point?
Look at that long leg precision UUVs.
Yeah. They use a lot of acronyms and short forms and like industry speak to kind of confiscate
I assume if I was presented this at the meeting that this was presented, you'd better reference,
obfuscate it.
a reference guidebook to go with it.
Yeah, totally.
Blast wave accelerator.
Like a sci-fi blast wave accelerator.
Yeah, bring it on. So that, I think they've already come up with that weapon, haven't they? Isn't that like
That's the global strike weapon that we saw. We went through that slide earlier.
Interesting.
A cheap global strike weapon is the blast wave accelerator.
Sounds doable. Build them cheap.
Like a vortex bomb.
Some interesting possibilities. Surreptitious nano tagging.
So, I mean, all right. Let's take it down to a philosophical level and say that all this stuff happens. How are we going to stop it? We're not. They've already got everything they need.
Yeah, well, we seem to see a few hints here and a few interesting points and some pretty laughable stuff, I'd say, at the end of the day.
This is interesting, the surreptitious nano-tagging of everything and everyone imprinted during manufacturer maintenance. And so I saw that they were actually putting lots of RFID chips in people who get dental work done. When people go for dental work and they'd put an RFID thing in them.
This is probably voluntary.
I have dental work done. I have $60,000 for dental work.
Yeah.
But that said, I mean, in the socialist countries, though, which the majority of these countries are, like, areas in Europe and Canada and stuff where they have socialist medical care, so I'm no doubt that they would spend the money and the time.
And then look at this.
All of their people.
Here's again the detonation of offshore seabed methane hydrate deposits to produce tactical strategic level tidal waves against
literal regions. Interesting, which reminds me of the 2004 Indian Ocean, right? There was a lot of speculation at the time in the sort of.
I wanted to go back to that nano imprinted thing. I was actually talking to an elderly gentleman who was in the service, and he told me about this stuff. I said, technology. I was trying to explain to him because he doesn't even understand what a computer is. And I said, technology is accelerating at a point that you don't even know that they're going to start imprinting chips into our hands and our foreheads. And your credit card becomes your hand. You wave it over a machine, it becomes your payment method.
Right.
And he said, what? I've seen this before. He's seen it in the military in the 60s.
Oh, yeah. I've actually ran into an old military guy that's seen that stuff like way back in the 60s too. That's interesting.
The thing with that, though, you describe it as if it's something that would be introduced. I think that it's something that the people are going to demand. They're going to demand to have that chip in there. They're going to demand.
Well, they wanted the chip in the hand to make sure that they knew who all the American soldiers were. The reason is because there were fake American German soldiers trying to act as Americans.
Yeah, and they were able to fake a pretty good accent.
They were. That's the reason they wanted to put chips in everybody's hands.
It's funny. And the idea with the chip would definitely stimulate also more room for nefarious programs at work, for sure. But so with military men, though, I know that as far as that, now it's I believe probably done on a much more sinister level and done with I know the shots that the people that I know it's like 25 shots when you sign in now with some military forces that I'm aware of, where you get inoculated in your first 3 months of training.
Well, I would agree with about 20 of those shots are from malaria. I could go down the list. Polio. There's major diseases you don't want to catch around the world.
No.
Ebola. I think there's about 20 different shots that you need to be in the military, especially if you're a paratrooper.
Oh, yeah?
Specific. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, interesting. Counter to U.S. information.
You could land in North Korea and catch something that you've never heard of before.
So as this report from 2001 is trying to come up with all these different ideas.
Wait, go back to those viruses. You just get to put, we were just talking about viruses, and I just seen all them viruses. You said viruses. It was like right about, there we go. Hordes, swarms, country-sized dispersal magazines of small, oh wait, no, there's viruses somewhere around here.
You see there, Fritz? It's somewhere in there that's talking about the viruses.
Some about viruses right there. I don't know.
Well, let's carry on here. Let's go. We got another 15 or
There
so.
we go. Here we go. Software, subvert, deception, dissemination, Trojan, or virus. Okay. I thought they were
Right.
real. Well,
Well, we got to
It is the ubiquitous nano, inexpensive, multi-physics, hyperspectral, Lancier space, military, scientific, commercial sensors.
didn't miss anything there, did
Look at
they?
this. They want to put a sensor on every atom in the universe
Didn't miss a
and
thing.
know where it is. And
tiny.
when
They
it
don't even have to be that big.
Holy, hold on a second here. I was just looking at that slide.
All you got to do is sensor tag. A sensor could be the size of an RFID chip.
Hey, look, there's the Slingatron.
There's the
Slingatron is
there,
back.
my favorite weapon.
I got to know more about the Slingatron. That sounds like that must have been what David must have used on Goliath. There's no normals. So the Slingatron.
Miniaturize, disperse everything. No large mass, interesting targets.
Degrade U.S. info dominance.
Wow.
What does
that's
that?
interesting.
What does that mean? Let's unpack that.
That means to make sure that we don't know anything.
Well, since 2001 when this came out, that said there certainly was no television in North America you could get called, Al Jazeera or Russia Today. Yeah, where now, people do go for the alternative media.
To degrade U.S. info dominance, to me, that means that you don't want the public to know what you're talking about. And you're going to, info dominance means, okay, the internet is owned by the government, but do you know who really owns the internet right now? The hackers.
Wicked.
Right. Yeah, so that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to eliminate hackers right now.
It grew too big. Exploit CNN syndrome. So when they're just talking about the CNN syndrome earlier when they were talking about
So look at this. This is interesting because this document's from 2001, and they projected capture, torture Americans in living color on prime time.
It had to happen.
Now that had to happen according to their scenarios within the next certain amount of years. So, and that's all. That sounds like the ISIS beheadings and all that, right? Prime time, capture and torture.
I gotta tell you about this experience I had. I was listening to a radio show on the internet with a guy named Drake, not the rapper. I'm talking about a guy named Drake and another guy. They were very popular on the internet. All of a sudden, they started saying they're going to infiltrate the government. We're taking over, blah, blah, blah. We have people in place, all this other stuff. They were ready. This was about 2008, 9, something like that. I got freaked out, and I was like, oh, my God, something's happening. And actually, something did happen at that time. We got attacked. We got all this other stuff going on at that very same time about 5 years ago. And I can't believe the things that they were talking about. The same things that you guys are talking about right now is like exactly what they were going to do. This stuff has been around for longer than I can even.
2001, I think. When this report.
2001 and even before. It's like I've heard this stuff so much. It's like being repeated over and over. They're just using bigger words to explain it.
Okay.
I guess they talk about using radio frequencies against brains, etc.
Against brains.
Yeah. And the thing is, I felt that same kind of thing, pass over me, like I'm released from the brainwaves, whatever.
Serious cyber collateral damage experts. The key technologies. Okay, so this is 2001. We're looking towards where we are 2014, 14 years later, 15 now.
There's the sensors there.
I see the Cubans, the lasers, they're all presents. Robotic machine intelligence.
Swarms of everything. Look at this.
There's
again with the sensors.
Brilliant, lightweight, low power, inexpensive swarms of underlined everything. SAT.
Anti-personnel bio.
Oh, look at that. So this was key technologies to focus on, right? Free-form point of view.
This is what they want to really narrow down and focus on developing 15 years ago.
Right.
Wait,
So
wait, I'm into computer, so beyond silicon computing, quantum.
Okay.
fundamental military issue metrics, affordability, back to the warfare on the cheap, survivability, can
Here you go,
see
right here.
everything, anything you can see, you can kill.
Can see everything, and anything you can see, you can kill.
So
That's the power that they dream of. They want to see everything. This is Lucifer here, wants to
now,
see
hold
everything with nano robotic, multi-spectral sensors sprayed through aerosol dust. This is according to this NASA document.
Okay.
And I
If
mean, it
that's your
sounds far out, but just
interpretation,
go back and look through the video, you know? It's
right.
like
Effectiveness, lethality, precision, and volumetric weaponry. Wow, subject to volumetric weaponry is not one that comes up often. But, you know, I mean, the more you can kill, the greater your scope of destruction, right? Given the superb, ubiquitous worldwide sensor suites and precision strike capabilities, then the following will not be survivable.
so here's where they say once they've got the ubiquitous worldwide sensors all over the earth,
strike capabilities,
then nothing, you won't be survivable anywhere on the globe because the entire surface of the globe and every caterpillar and butterfly is covered in nanosensors.
Interesting. These apods show up.
I wonder if this has something to do with like the locusts and the swarm of locusts.
There actually is swarm
that are mentioned in the Bible, in Revelation.
Right. So, what is CONUS? That keeps showing up as well. I'm not really sure what that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this stands for. So we're getting up to the last few pages here. I think we've only got about
typical scenario,
15 pages left.
By 10 people and $10 million. Typical scenario, so takedown.
So this is the methods by which they envision it would be possible for a small group to take down the U.S. This is what NASA thinks: binary weapons, selective radio frequency towers. Okay, well, who controls those? Water supply contamination via intercontinental unmanned aerial vehicles. Well, as we just saw, the intercontinental unmanned aerial vehicles are the ones that are trying to develop. Accompanied by a serious cyber, which they. So this is things that, like, you can tell by the way they put together the report and stuff. This is stuff that they consider. This is ways they are considering of this would be possible.
Okay. Well, this the script writer of this particular report that we're going through from 2001.
Let's just call them the Illuminati for ease of understanding.
Let's not use big words. I mean, somebody scripted this with probably. I mean, I'm seeing it as so serious / humorous for them. I mean, this was probably a weekend conference that somebody attended, and we have to give you.
No. You seem this is boiled down and condensed.
Right.
From all of these reports, billions of dollars worth of research and development from all of these companies.
2001.
And they have to boil this down because you have to pass it up the pipeline, the information pipeline, and the information gets more and more boiled down as it passes up the information chain.
Sure, the editor.
To eventually, where it sounds like this is not how you and I talk. This is how people further up the information chain would talk. So
this
right?
really is a. You think this is an edited version? What would you say this is?
I call it just boiled down information. They took hundreds and hundreds of reports from DARPA and all of these other companies, and they boiled down the information to the absolute key points, even to the point of where they're short forming.
Okay, a future of warfare 2025. So as we're looking at this from 2001, just recently released to project what's going to happen in the next 10 years from now. So I don't see. Let's get back down to where we were there. From U.S. Commissions on National Security 21st Century.
It will soon be possible to connect human brain cells to silicone chips.
Well, 2015, they haven't really been able to sell that to us yet. I'm going to just go out there and say it, man. It's 2015. I'm not cozied up to the idea yet. I don't really know anybody that's cozied up to the idea. Connect human brain cells to silicone chips. Due to IT technology, we will witness the death of distance. Okay. I hear you.
Okay, here we go. 2025. This is the future, according to NASA. Machines are as creative and smart as humans. Robotics are normal. Okay. Zeroth order, which I still haven't found out what the meaning of Zeroth is.
Discussing the laws of thermodynamics, right?
Oh. Zeroth order.
Zero.
So this is some sort of physics term.
Right. Binary, biome, emissions, agriculture, food distribution
Okay,
system.
so
your foxhole, as it were. Next level of concern, ubiquitous.
Listen to the language here. Hold on, slow down. Listen to the language here. They want to have the binary bioweapon into the nation's agriculture, food distribution systems, and every home and foxhole. This is again them saying absolutely everywhere on the face of the earth, even in the forest, on the forest floor, on the leaves, on the forest floor, and every foxhole. We're going to put ubiquitous nano-sensing micro smart dust. This is what they're aiming to develop.
Sounds nefarious, Fritz. Next level of concern, the ubiquitous cheap micro to nano everything. Okay. Battlefield attrition, CNN Center forces U.S. Army to look, act like SOCOM.
What does that mean?
Good question. Southern Command Center. Suggested major U.S. future 2025 warfare issues. Okay. What do you got, NASA?
Hyperspectral sensors. Precision strict volumetric weaponry, swarms, harmony missions.
Sounds rather.
Or locusts from the bottomless pit.
No.
Swarms. Look at this. You know, it's interesting because the Bible does actually use the word swarms of locusts. And it's interesting that in the report they use the exact same verbiage.
Okay.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They might as well just call them locusts.
Okay. See what you need there. Non-explosive warfare.
Robotic warfare in the large. So they've already made a Hollywood movie. It was like had Wolverine.
Better than human AI cyberlife. Well, they got this new guy Chappie. He's just come out too.
Oh, Chappie's a big robotic. Okay, in the large. The new Marvel movie has artificial intelligence, cybernetic.
Right, and those are the heroes,
robots.
right? These guys that are the genetically engineered Spider-Man who's been bit by the spider. These are genetically engineered superhumans that save the day, right? Which is funny. I mean, if I'd have thought of that 10 years ago, it wouldn't have made sense to me. But if I think of it now, that, actually what I've been, my idol on my wall as a kid on a poster form was in fact a genetically modified, person, which was science fiction in those days, but it's very much
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were.
Well, how mutant were they? Fritz?
I guess rapidly evolved.
Okay, so robotic warfare in the large. I don't know what that's in the large. Is another biblical term, isn't it? Better than human AI. Alternative power projections.
Here they talk about the radio frequency weapons, beam weaponry, including radio frequency. Radio frequency is and can be used as weaponry.
Okay.
It's just as simple as that. And as they said in the report, low power radio frequency transmissions disrupt the blood-brain barrier 30 to 100% and cause lethality. That was in the words of this report. Humans hold instead of take ground. Go in after sanitization. What does that mean?
Sanitization, I don't like the sounds of that word much.
Humans hold instead of take ground. So humans have now, in 2025, become, they're just holding ground instead of taking ground from what? The machine army?
Terminators, man.
Terminators?
Maybe that's what
Terminator?
Power projection was about.
Sanitization. So sanitization could be a Psy-War. Global reach guns. That's interesting. Global reach guns. Reach the guns of the globe. Reach all guns around the globe.
Guns.
Everywhere.
Wait, dude, look
Global
right
reach
after there. It
guns.
mentions Slingatron.
By way.
Slingatron. Slingatron is back.
Global reach guns. Okay, so this is talking about guns, quote, that can shoot anywhere on the globe, which is actually
laser beams from space.
Laser beams from space. That's why they put guns and see the way they talk is like obfuscated.
I guess it's
weird.
I'm glad that Slingatron shows up again.
I think this is the way it's worded. The report is worded is shows signs being psychopathic, like a psychopathic
Like, as a
killer.
psychopathic would talk, right?
Yeah.
Like global reach, guns. In other words, the Slingatron.
In other words, Slingatron. Yeah, like,
We pull out
this is a
Slingatron.
psychopathic conglomeration.
Okay, so as
that
NASA
compiled this.
releasing this, I mean, this wasn't for humor, so we should keep going down.
Right.
Human
Okay.
Strike
The
Force.
future of SOF. Who's SOF?
I feel like I should. I wish we had maybe another viewer that was more military terminology.
But anyway, becomes the only survivable human strike force. Army Marines force become SOF. I'm thinking, what is this like? Something like cybernetically enhanced, transhuman, genetically enhanced, post-human. Future
Well,
of.
we're just far speculating here.
Yeah. Okay.
Increasingly, the overseas FBI to counter the increasing capabilities of weapons of mass destruction and horrific destructive power of individuals. Okay. So let's
look at this here. So let's look at this as they project here again. Omnipresent omniphysics sensor ID suites.
Right.
So this is them Lucifer trying to emulate God's omnipresence using technological physical means.
Interesting.
That's exactly what this is. It's the lie from the Garden of Eden.
Okay. Future warfare. Defense against the then year. So the then year is the year that's like the year that unspeakable, unknowable year. Multitudinous conventional and unconventional delivery methods for volumetric and precision munitions is essentially neither doable nor affordable. Well, the final report says it's neither doable or affordable. Suggested
Defense against
approaches.
this year. So defense when it becomes like
against
this,
the end year is unaffordable and not doable. You can't. When the time comes, we don't know.
When it gets like this, when the nations are this developed, you can't defend against it.
Okay.
So you created a beast that you cannot defend yourself against. Is that what I'm saying?
That's where that's going.
Yeah. Okay. Who can make war with the beast? It says in the Bible. It is neither doable nor affordable.
Got it. Don't even waste your money. Not invest in the anti-beast machine.
Working and advertise a really effective retribution to deter delivery a la MAD, mutual assured destruction. Advertise a really effective retribution to deter mutual assured destruction.
Right.
Or to deter delivery via mutually assured destruction. No. So anyway, here's their
the changing nature of warfare, the hunter-gatherer, tribal bands, handheld throne, mechanical by the industrial, chemical, and by now it's 2025.
So in the future, they expect everyone to be involved in their warfare.
In bio, bots, and IT warfare.
And it will be with biological robots and cyborgs causing social disruption.
That'll be what's up.
Right. Well, this is interesting. Shortfalls. Being worked in the technical war games. Jade Helm, technical war games.
Yeah, that's right.
Path from today's systems and capabilities to those hypothesized for the future, 2020 plus.
2020 plus.
What is needed is a then year, 2030.
Okay.
Serious holistic vision of warfare changes resulting from the ongoing IT, bio, nano, virtual technological revolutions. So this is post technological revolutions. Serious holistic vision of warfare changes. Such does not exist. Bumper sticker attempts extent. Can you decode that?
Such does not exist. Bumper sticker attempts extent. I don't really know what
all are agreed.
The bumper sticker reference, other than that, it's referencing some sort of rhetoric of people's.
Is this saying like your bumper sticker attempts to stop it are, to no avail?
Right.
Is that what it's saying?
I guess.
Right. So your puny bumper sticker attempts to stop this ongoing technological IT bio-nano revolution is
Yeah, but still
futile. All are agreed.
Trying to survive. Like, such does not exist. Bumper stickers attempts,
Anyway,
remaining and undestroyed as extent would mean. All are agreed warfare will become increasingly robotic and probably more affordable. Swarm sensor shooters are given. A long-term vision of the exchange would not enable.
swarms of sensors. I think there's a connection here between this and the locust spoken of in Revelation. I'm gonna have to follow that up later because we're approaching the end of the document here. The last few pages, we're on page 109 of the Future Strategic Issues, Future Warfare 2025. NASA paper, Dennis M. Bushnell, Chief Scientist, NASA Langley Research Center.
Right.
So this is the last few pages of the report here. We've done an extensive analysis, and at least we've scrolled through the entire report so that you can pause and take out any slides, with screenshots or whatever. And
so back down to 109 there.
we're at 109?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. So in the final few pages here.
109.
Right,
Okay.
so down to 110.
So all agreed, warfare is all robotic, swarms of sensors and shooters. Not at all clear how to get there from here, as do not know where there is. Now they sound they're a bit confused by their own madness.
Yeah, by their own madness. War between mass armies. Weighed down with broke equipment has become a third world sport.
The hubris right there. War with mass armies has become a third world sport. Oh, chat. I'm tired of that game of war with actual armies.
Of this physical
I would have a holodeck war from space.
Robotic bio humans with no feelings. I don't want people to get hurt. The threat of use of small specialized force exploiting high
tempo. Okay, now this is interesting. It says the advanced world, too vulnerable to survive a war of attrition or mass destruction,
so this, of course, in the bibliography,
must learn to conduct its affairs by the rapier. A rapier is a very sharp sword.
Thin sword used
in sort of
dueling.
Precision strike, like a one-shot precision death strike.
Right.
But threat or use of small specialized forces exploiting high tempo and strategic surprise. So they expect to be highly effective.
Hold on. This is
precision warfare. Like this is,
as they quote the words of R.E. Simpkin from Race to the Swift 1985 release. So this was 25 years before in their case.
Right. And actually this is interesting because race to the swift is a phrase from the Bible. Also it's something, the race to the swift or something to the strong. Someone will have to look that up, but that's a Bible passage or a line that's in there. Hold on a second. Okay. Bio warfare was unthinkable. Conventional warfare becomes so deadly as to become unthinkable. Killer apps available to mitigate the causes of war. Okay, preemption, retribution, SOF, foreign. So this was their strike force, or their military force was SOF. Okay. So they're gonna have a foreign military force. Is what that says right there.
Well, I have to
coming up to the last page of the report here, it says, this is the last page of the NASA report. Usual reactions to this presentation. Reaction number one, it's too hard. It's just too hard, Graham. You can never pull it off.
Not being done yet by anyone, therefore will not be done. They would not do that. We have to hope they would not do that. I go there, cannot defend against it, some disbelief, but there is too much there to be regarded.
So they're telling you your reaction to this report. Which is your reaction to this report after going through it?
Right.
They've predicted it and told you. Mine is
it just makes me hungry.
Some disbelief, but agreement that there is too much there to disregard. That's probably me. So what do you think? What is your reaction to the NASA Futures report? Which one of these predicted responses are you feeling? So again, that's the future strategic issues, future warfare. But just to end this video broadcast, I'd say that, you know, the Bible says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing and try to plot against the Lord and his armies? And it's just, it's futile, and it's all due to pride and arrogance. And the only solution is to humble yourself and to repent and turn to the Lord Jesus Christ for redemption. And apart from that, there's no salvation. There's only death and destruction and nanobots.
The future isn't friendly, I guess.
Shooting from slingatrons.
Slingatrons. There were slingatrons mentioned.
To ubiquitously coat your lungs and give you some sensory stimulation. So, but all joking aside, Jesus Christ, he is the only answer in salvation and way and truth and the life. And
you know, that's become really ubiquitous in itself, that truth that you just said there, with the way of truth and the light that comes through Jesus. There's been so many people around me that otherwise would have been uninterested in Jesus months, weeks, years ago, that for no apparent reason are finding themselves steering their ship back towards that light and back towards those calm oceans that really can come only through our Lord and Savior. So yeah, lucky time to be in 2015.
So God bless, guys. That's it for tonight.
I'm
hope you
Johann
learned something.
Stamberger here, and
This is Johan and Fritz, and signing out.
we're brothers.
Good night, guys.